today is more around. I was thinking about doing a training session. I've never done it in this way around what drains our energy, and it's just the way that I wanted to create a format that I've been thinking about it for years, but I've never kind of talked about it in public. It's just been in my head, so it might come out completely ridiculous, or it might have some value here. So I'm taking a risk here. So, but I have a feeling this might connect to some of you. And my hope is that you understand, and really that's the key, the hope, the outcome that I'm hoping is that you understand what might be draining your energy in your life. And the reason for that is, and that's the my assertion is that we actually don't need more energy. What we need to do is not waste energy. All of us have plenty of energy in a given day, unless you have some kind of condition that like physical, mental, or emotional condition. And when I say condition, it's a rare thing that you might have that drains your energy. It could be a gut problem, or it could be a heart problem, or it could be a mental illness problem. Unless it's something like that, on if you're a functioning human being, that you should have a plenty of energy in a given day. So then the assumption is that there are a bunch of stuff draining your energy that you're likely not aware of. And that's what I want to go into. And I know last week we talked about psychology mastery, and this will connect with that a little bit, but I want to go into that, and I'll kind of start in an interesting way. I'll kind of build up to what exactly drains your energy, but I'll give you some areas to think about before that. And my cards went all over the place. I was way too excited here. I've created some cards here. Okay, so and what we're going to focus on is just two energy, but I want you to think about these four areas. We've talked about them before. And these four areas of energy, if I can bring them into focus, there's mental, physical, emotional, and if I move my hand, spiritual energy. And today's focus is mostly on emotional and spiritual energy, but I'll reference physical and mental. Again, those all energies are interconnected. Our physical energy is connected to our mental focus. That's connected to our emotional energy, and that's connected to our spiritual energy. And I'll kind of slowly go into describing them. We've talked about it before. And if you need a more of a refresher, go into the training on energy, and you will get all the details of it. But for today's sake, I want to just talk about a couple of things. First of all, one is that emotional energy, and why emotional energy. And I think this is a big challenge for most people. This, and then the second one is spiritual energy. And I want to quickly define, if my camera lets me. Yeah, I want to quickly define what emotional energy and spiritual energy is. Emotional energy, the way I look at it, is how you're responding to your own emotions. We covered that in psychology mastery last week, is like, how do we react to our own emotions? And most of our emotions is actually they're connected to our past. If you pay close attention, they're not really, oh, I'm looking at this and this is what I feel. I actually just recently I got a text from a client, somebody it's a potential client who sent me a text saying, like, I just did a presentation and I do this presentation all the time, but I got up in front of and he's part of a core team in a company. I got up in front of the conference room to give this presentation. All of a sudden my breathing becomes shallow. My heart rate goes up. I'm sweating. He's like, I don't know what the hell just happened. Like, I have a lot of confidence in this area. And I sent him a message saying this is like, it's either an anxiety attack, a mild, or it's a panic attack, full blown, one or the other, depending on the intensity. Why does that happen? Well, if you really go to the core of it, there are unprocessed emotions internally. His body is reacting to his own emotions, usually connected to his past or present challenging situations, and it's creating a bunch of fear towards the future, and it's coming in an environment where it's completely unrelated, or at least to him it feels unrelated, but the reality is that there are unprocessed emotions. Now that's a little bit extreme, but we all carry an imprint of the emotions that we're constantly reacting to, usually. And I put emotions in two categories: survival emotions and growth emotions. I don't call them positive and negative because they both have their function. Survival emotions are emotions like sadness, anger, disconnection, fear. These are emotions that give us signals that there are things that we need to deal with. Then there are growth emotions. Those are emotions that give us a signal that things are going fine, that things are going better, which are joy, connection, peace. happy, well, joy and happiness could be similar, peace, love. Those kind of things help us feel, and that's why we feel lighter. We feel like we're expanding. Now, some people are like, well, I just want to stay in this area where I don't want to go towards fear, sadness. Well, you cannot. They come in a package. The challenge is that most people are so afraid of the survival emotions that they run away from them, and so it catches them off guard on the other side. So one part of it is us reacting to our own emotions. And if we haven't processed emotions and we're not constantly doing that and we're not aware of it, it drains the hell out of our energy. And I would say a huge percentage of our energy getting drained is that. And the other piece of it is when we're reacting to other people's emotions. Now, keep in mind, you're always around other people, whoever that is. That could be team members, family members, children, whoever. And people are reacting constantly, and human beings are emotional beings. And what happens? We look at somebody who's going through a rough time, and our system, we have mirror neurons. We mimic other people's emotions. If you're not paying attention to it, you're basically absorbing other people's emotions. You're not aware of it. This is why you might enter a room where people are feeling like a lot of grief or sadness or joy. It's like it's contagious. I don't know if you guys have seen these videos. We played this in our family a couple of years ago. It was so funny. We just turned on this YouTube video where some guy's in the subway station, and he just starts laughing, looking at something on his phone. And because he's just laughing, and nobody knows the context, the next person starts laughing, and then before you know it, the next person, and we're just watching a video, like the subway station, all of them are laughing. We start laughing, and when one of us start laughing, the other person start laughing, everybody in the family starts laughing, and nobody knows why the hell they're laughing. And it's hilarious to watch, and which tells you that emotions it's contagious on either side, on survival and on the growth sides. For example, I've been dealing with a lot of grief in the past 3-4 weeks, and it's been heavy. Like, no matter what state I am in, I can feel it in the house. Like, if I'm attuned to it, I can feel the grief, even if I'm not interacting with anybody. So keep a very close eye on emotions, because likely is draining you if you're not processing the survival emotions and you're not tapping enough into the growth emotions. The other side of it is the spiritual energy. The spiritual energy I connected to a couple of things. So it manifests in a couple of different ways. So for example, for some people, it's if they have a very strong faith, then it might be faith in God, faith in the intelligence of things. Some people say, well, in universal intelligence. Some people say spirit, whatever you want to call it. But they have an underlying, that's my experience with hundreds of people that I've worked with. Another way it shows up is that they have a very strong sense of purpose. When they wake up every day, they're not wondering what they're going to do. They're like, this is why I'm waking up, and I love this, and this is my mission, this is my purpose. This is why military works very well, because what does military have? They have missions. They're constantly giving people a mission, and there's a structure for them to create discipline to go towards that mission. And there are comrades around them that creates a community. So it's like a trifecta of, so it's become so powerful. And to be honest, most of them don't even understand the mission. It's like, if I'm going with my comrade, if they know the background of like, I'm helping somebody or my community, my nation, they will go. They will do the impossible things. This is why Marines can be incredible. This is why, and people talk of, well, no, they're very disciplined. No, there are other things. Their spiritual energy is very powerful in there. Now, people don't connect it to spiritual energy, but that's your sense of purpose. And then now this is the part that I'm going to do a little bit weirdly. Okay. This is hopefully this is not just in my head and you guys have thought about it to some degree. Otherwise, this is going to be a flop completely. So now that I've explained what drains you, and those are the two dominant things, underlying assumption that things will work out because the things in the world are intelligently set up to support their growth. And I mean, I'm roughly describing, but there's an internal, either they've seen it in their experience, or they've believed it within their culture, or they've been trained to believe it, whatever it doesn't matter. If they have a strong sense of faith like that, their mind tends to operate much better. Like your emotional energy and spiritual energy. Yes, mental and physical energy, you not taking care of yourself, you being distracted, constantly looking at stuff. But I also look at those as like an effect. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, there's a reason behind it, because most human beings, naturally, you will take care of yourself. If you are not focused on the things that matter to you, it's likely an effect. It's connected to you not dealing with certain things emotionally, or you not having a sense of purpose, direction, structure, those kind of things. That's my assumption in the background. So I want to create a comparison here. Let's hope this works out. I'm taking a risk, guys, here. so so let me give you like a rundown of how and so let's start with this. Does everybody here agree that children on average have a lot more energy than adults do? Like, just by watching them, if you watch the little kids, in fact, their energy goes up instead of down as they go throughout the day for some odd reason. We're like, what? Where the hell did they get that energy? Okay, so we have an agreement there, right? So have you guys ever wondered why they have so much energy? And I've been racking my brain around, like, why do they have the same things as my kids? They have the same environment. Why is my energy different than my kids? Why are kids so adaptable? They are so energetic. They can express it, even negative energy, they can express it in positive ways. It's just incredible to watch. So I want to kind of create a rundown of what happens with adults versus kids. And then we can talk about, well, what drains adults that they are not left with any energy by the end of the day, versus kids, they're left with an abundance of energy. In fact, you have to force them to lie down and go to sleep. Those who are parents, they know this very well. That happened last night, where my girls are just throwing pillows at each other, and I'm like, can we go to sleep, please? It's like, then I had to join in and then my energy is now going up and I'm trying to calm down. It was just the whole thing, and it was contagious too, because they're so excited. And then sometimes my older one of my daughters will say, I'm so excited about tomorrow, I don't know if I can sleep. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I need you to sleep, we have to find a way. And she's very intellectual too, so she's looking forward. Like, now she doesn't have like a big mission or vision or purpose statement or any of that, but she has a purpose, and we'll talk about what that is. Okay, I'm too excited here. So let's go through the adult rundown first. The adult run, you might not see it fully because I just kind of wrote down. So here's the adult rundown. On average, even high achievers, if you look at an average high achiever in this, I'm basing this not on theory, on like hundreds of people I've worked with, and I've seen the same patterns over and over. Usually when they just come to me, usually the biggest difference with kids and adults is the increased complexity in their life. With kids, there's complexity as well, but it's increasing complexity depending on how old they are. This is why when you on average see kids tend to reduce, their energy goes down as they get older and older on average. It stabilizes a little bit as they become teenagers, because the complexity does a lot. So adults already have an increase, I would say, the maximum level of complexity they deal with out in the world. That means that they're dealing with a lot of variables. So that already taxes your mind. All right, I got to get to, my mic is behind. So that already taxes, thank you, Scott. That already taxes adult mind, because they're dealing with a lot of complexity out in the world. Now, let me run. On average, most adults don't fully feel understood by others around you. On average, most adults don't feel supported fully by others around them. On average, they have little to no play in their life, which connects to what you were saying, Scott. And so almost everything they do is like a chore, or at least it feels like a chore for them. I have to do this thing. It's all an obligation. On average, they don't have a clear structure unless they have been very intentional with their day. On average, they tend to feel alone, even though they're always around other people. On average, that the increased complexity, not being understood, not being supported, little to no play, not a clear structure, feel alone. Oh, and by the way, I missed, not a sense of purpose and direction, big term, long term. That translates to low energy, which means that their energy is being drained by these things that they are not paying attention to. Even though adults, self-care has become a big thing. People are taking care of themselves a lot more, at least seemingly. They're meditating, they're exercising, doing all kinds of things, but for some reason their energy is not as good. Why? Now let's run down through the children. Let's look at what happens with children. Even if children don't have the ideal life, on average, even though there is complexity increasing, but let's start with the younger age, let's say 4, 5, all the way to teenage years. There is increasing complexity, but that doesn't affect their energy that much. They get excited about that, which we can talk about later. But on average, they feel supported, understood. And they're, because their life is not that complex, what do they need? They need some food, they need some water, they need some things to play with. So they, and if they feel sad, the parents or somebody will sit with them and they will support them, so they feel understood, they feel supported for the most part. They have a lot of play throughout the day, and they also have a sense of purpose, because, and that's what I was kind of alluding to. For example, when my daughter is going to sleep, she can't, she often, she will say that, well, I'm too excited. Like, what are you excited about? Well, I want to draw this thing, I want to play piano, I want to go meet my cousins, I want to, like, they have so many things to look forward to the next day, that there's a sense of, the deeper sense of purpose, so that spiritual energy is connected. And they're playing throughout the day, and they might have a couple of chores. We give our kids chores, but we try to make it as fun as possible, make it more of a game. But they pretty much 95-98% of their day is play, and there's a purpose for their play because it's connected to what matters to them. And they have structure. How do they have structure? Because parents tend to create the structure for them. And also, we're learning more and more, the less structure kids have, the more miserable they become. In fact, they need the structure from parents because they can't create it. And they have a sense of community. They have a bunch of people around them that are always helping them, supporting them, finding out what they're doing. That equals very high energy. Now, what's the problem here? And I've thought about this for a long time. And at least on the days where I have a huge amount of energy, what's going on? I'm feeling like I'm playing, I'm connected, I am in a community, I have, my sense of purpose is very clear, I have clarity, I am excited about the things that I'm doing, and that translates to high energy. And what does that do? That makes me want to be connected to others. That makes me want to be more happy. That gives me the resilience to deal with things that are uncomfortable and challenging. I know I did it in a weird way, but we can learn a lot from children. And unfortunately, there's a quote that I copied here. It's somewhere here. Hold on. I think I have it right here. I was gonna post it on social media. I still haven't. It was on in a park. It said, here. I think I have it right here. Yeah, right here. I got it. So here's the quote. It was by George Bernard Shaw. I literally pointed to it. We were in a park. It says, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." So all that to say that what drains our energy, and this is the card that I have for that, is a lack of purpose, inaction towards the things that matter to us, lack of clarity. We don't have clarity about what to focus on, what to do, lack of support. We don't feel supported, understood by those around us, not dealing with challenges directly head on. By the way, kids deal with a lot of challenges. In fact, they take on challenges because they learn to draw, they learn to create, they learn to play instruments, they learn to deal with other kids. Like, these are all, for in their frame, those are challenging things, but they're excited to learn. Sometimes they get stuck, and that's why they have their parents and other people to support them. Not taking care of themselves, like, that can drain you. But like I said, I see that as more of an effect. So the reason why I kind of put it in this way, I want you to compare, especially if you have kids around you, just observe them more, and you will find out more and more, like, how their world is so vastly different, even though they might live in the same house as you. And I'm not saying drop your responsibilities and don't have any obligation. Again, we have a higher complexity. Of course, that takes a certain amount of energy. But when you drop a sense of purpose, you just do things just because people are telling you. When you don't have clarity, when you are disconnected from your life, when you're not dealing with the relationships and emotions that you need to deal with, yes, these are harder things to deal with, but once you deal with it, there's a lightness that comes about. And one of the most powerful things that I've seen every time I push one of my clients to go towards dealing with challenging relationships, go towards dealing with challenging emotions inside, go towards creating more clarity. I literally got off the call today, and this is another potential client I'm talking to, that who would be part of my coaching process. He's thinking about it, and when he came on the call, he was heavy. He couldn't think straight. He was moving a lot of things forward. By the end of the call, he felt very light. I'm like, well, why are you light? It's like, I have so much clarity. I'm excited to go do the thing that I'm doing. I'm like, okay, great. Well, how can you stay with that clarity? How can you? And well, he needs to create a little bit of structure. He can't get stuck in his head. He needs a little bit of support. He needs to do some of the things that he's postponing. that creates more energy, and that stops you from draining that energy.